keeping 7. What's important here to see who's on the play and who's got the mana acceleration.
Yeah.
Obviously, these are
gonna matter.
These are super familiar faces here. I think everybody knows who these guys are at home. Number 14 and 15 on the Season 2 leaderboard. Brad's going to be on the play here. I wouldn't be surprised to see both these players at the Players' Championship again at the end of the year. Of course, Brad going to be defending the title. Chris looking to qualify. No Elvish Mystic to start, as he'll just play Forest and Pass to begin round number 15.
Yeah, these decks have so little removal that critical mass of any kind becomes important. Every mana creature is good. Just who can play, you can almost keep track of whoever plays more cards is going to be ahead. Now, the interactive cards are very interesting. So, Pelukranos and Dragonlord Atarka are among your best cards in this matchup, whereas the Deathmist Raptor part of the deck is pretty inconsequential.
A Wooded Foothills here from Nelson. He'll go down to 19. Forest or Mountain on the way. It'll just be a basic Forest. He'll shuffle up. I have to imagine we'll have a Mana Accelerant here in just a moment. Though he didn't have an Elvish Mystic, Rattleclaw Mystic and Sylvan Caryatid are both 4s in the deck.
Yeah, just imagine some kind of mana creature from him.
There's the Sylvan Caryatid, so there you go. VanMeter will take a draw here.
Yes, he's going to be counting the mana sources. You know, Chris will need to have a mana creature of his own. What I do like about Chris's board is that he already has a copy of Nykthos in play. That could really matter as we get into the later turns.
I like that some, and I dislike it a little bit, because if that's land number 2, I think that means that that might be the only other land he has in his hand.
That would be, yeah, I mean, that would be very bad news for him if that's the case.
Now you can see his hand. He's got Xenagos, he's got Courser, he's got some things to do, he's got some ways to maybe find some lands, and if he peels a land, life is probably pretty good, but typically when Nykthos is land number 2, that's scary stuff.
Well, he does have a Courser in hand, so he'll have a couple shots at that land, and Courser is double green mana symbols as well, so that'll be, he'll still have a good turn this time, whereas you see Brad actually misses land 3 as well.
But he does cast some acceleration there in Rattleclaw Mystic and Elvish Mystic, so access to at least 5 mana next turn for Nelson. VanMeter going to draw a card. We'll see if he's able to find a land. Well, he did, sort of.
Well, he drew a Temple, so he can go for Courser to get the free land, and if he doesn't, he can settle for Temple here. It's a nice setup for him. Now, it's interesting, so Brad gets untapped with 5 mana sources. Chris will have fewer mana, but he will have more. The Nykthos makes this interesting.
Yeah. Caryatid's on top of the deck. Temple's going to enter the battlefield. You'll get 2 triggers, one for Scry, one for Courser. VanMeter will gain a life. He's going to Scry that Sylvan Caryatid to the bottom. Take a look at the top card. It's an Elvish Mystic. That'll be his turn.
Elvish Mystic is good here, especially if the card beneath it is a land, because it's mana acceleration that's free at this point, because it adds to your green devotion, and he already has 3 on the table. Now that card under it really does need to be a land for Chris.
We're going to find that out when we go back to VanMeter's turn. For now, we're on Nelson's turn. He's got access to 5 mana right now. We'll see what he can put together here as he shuffles those cards back and forth.
What's interesting is that past land 4 for Chris VanMeter, I don't think he really needs any more lands. At that point, he'll be able to play enough green mana symbols that the Nykthos should carry him hard enough that if he misses a land drop, so be it, he's fine.
There's a Courser for Nelson. Top card is a Forest. That'll enter the battlefield. Trigger, he'll gain a little bit of life. Next card down is a Genesis Hydra. That's a big one.
Yeah, still 3 more mana for Brad. Let's see if he can continue to ramp. I think so. We may have a Rattleclaw face down.
Okay.
So threatening next turn to have 8 mana in play. That's enough for Dragonlord Atarka.
Speaking of Dragonlord Atarka, you said that needs to be landed underneath there.
Too soon, Drag.
Maybe a little early for the old big girl. But that's what's on top of VanMeter's deck. And so your assessment I agree with. You know, Chris doesn't really need another land outside of land number 4. And Nykthos is a card that can actually keep him up. It looks like he's behind right now, but Brad doesn't have Nykthos where Chris does. So if he can get some more mana symbols on the table, he might be okay.
Well, if Chris casts, say, I'll give you something modest here. The Elvish Mystic he drew plus Deathmist Raptor. Okay, he gets to untap with 6 green mana next turn, so the Nykthos is for 6 2-mana creatures. He actually has 8 mana on the table. That's as much as Brad.
Okay. He does have access to Xenagos this turn as well. He could play a Xenagos plus it, get some mana that way. Wouldn't be able to defend it very well, though. Here's 3 mana. Let's make it 4. There is Xenagos. That's going to plus, it looks like.
Yeah, he can plus it for Caryatid or for Elvish Mystics. I think we'll just go for the Caryatid.
Still a really big turn available next turn.
I mean, if Brad does not kill the Xenagos, this is a real big turn for Chris.
VanMeter just going to pass the turn back.
Yeah, I do like how he set up his board. So Brad has a big turn this coming up. If Brad's play is Atarka, the damage is minimized because of how Chris played that turn.
Top card of the deck is Whisperwood Elemental here for Nelson. You find that off of the Courser. You see his board 3 Forest, an Elvish Mystic, a Radiclaw Mystic that's face up, a Radiclaw Mystic that is face down, the aforementioned Courser, and a Sylvan Caryatid. Genesis Hydra was the draw, and we'll see what he can do with the rest of the cards in this hand.
And just remember, as these decks go bigger and bigger, right now VanMeter is set up to be the winner. Because, first of all, he has the Nykthos. As this game goes late, he'll continue to punch harder and harder every turn, whereas Brad kind of has a fixed level of what he can do. Also, the fact that we know what the big ramp payoff for VanMeter is that Dragonlord Atarka, and it will devastate Brad's board.
Nelson's going to shuffle those cards back and forth. This is where he zones in. It's a huge turn for him. Genesis Hydra is an easy place to start, but he might be able to do a lot better than that.
Yeah, so he has 8 mana. So first of all, the easy play is Hydra into Whisperwood. That's available to him and he can take it. But then he will get a Tarka. And the question is he winning that fight?
Yep.
Or can he do better?
Looks like he's going to start with a land. He'll start with a forest. He'll gain a life from Courser. He's going to unmorph Radiclaw Mystic, get a little burst of mana, tap a bunch of lands. Here comes the Genesis Hydra.
So that's actually for 9. So if there is an Atarka in these first 7 cards, Brad gets everything. So here's 7. He knows Whisperwood. Can he do better than Whisperwood? No, 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 no,
Nope.
no Atarkas. That's what he was going. I have to think that's what he was going for.
I think so too. Whisperwood Elemental is the consolation prize. He'll shuffle from the Genesis Hydra. Can't forget that he does get a 7/7 on the battlefield in combination with Whisperwood Elemental. There will also be a Manifest trigger too, so it's not so bad.
Now, technically, Brad has to flip the top card of his deck and then shuffle. But
Sure.
we'll let that one go.
Yeah, we will let that slide. Friends, after all.
You have to show him a random card in your deck, then shuffle it.
Well, there's a forest on top now.
Brad did already play his land for the turn, though, one to maximize that Hydra.
There's
manifesting.
There's your manifest.
And he does have a Targa.
On top of the deck.
Wasn't when he wanted it, but he'll still get one. Remember, he did make 13 power worth of creatures that turn.
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad.
So that was his haymaker. Now it's Chris's turn to punch back. And these mirrors are just real fun in that regard.
I mean, that's what this is all about. It's who can throw the biggest punch, who accelerates the best, and who's got the best payoff card.
Yeah, so actually, Brad has the most power on the board, but with Chris's Atarka, Brad actually can't cast his own Atarka next turn. Chris blows up all the mana creatures.
That might be what he has to do. Now, what's interesting here is, let's say that he plays Atarka and says, I'll shoot your Radiclaw Mystic, I'll shoot your other Radiclaw Mystic, your Elvish Mystic, and your Manifest creature.
Yeah.
Brad might be happy saying, all right, I'll sacrifice Whisperwood Elemental, make a bunch of 2/2s from all my creatures that die.
Attack.
And I don't know if, maybe those 2/2s are good, maybe they're not.
It's an interesting line for sure. So from Chris, he plays the Elvish Mystic. That's going to be for free since he's going to Nykthos. So then he Nykthoses, and it is for 6 green.
Oh, boy.
Plus the red, it's Hornet Queen from Chris.
Well, he hasn't used Xenagos yet.
Oh, he gets all of them. He gets the Hornet Queen and the Atarka.
Yeah. That's
6,
5,
7, 8,
yep.
9. Boom.
Elevator's going up here. It's a combination of green and red mana.
You said Chris had to punch back. This is a pretty good one.
This is a pretty good punch. Oh, yeah. That's a Hornet Queen and a Dragonlord Atarka in the same turn. Those are the targets. 2 at the Manifest, 1 at each Mystic. And we'll see how Brad wants to use Whisperwood Elemental here. He can sacrifice that, so when the actual creatures die, the 3 Mystics, he can get 3 Manifest. But now, those 3 Manifests in question, they don't really line up all that well, given that old Chris over here has these Hornets.
Nykthos really proving to be the backbreaker here. It let Chris go bigger when it came time to do haymakers.
This let him catch up.
Yep.
That and Xenagos are the 2 cards that let him catch up here.
Well, he just hit harder. Brad's turn was good. I mean, Hydra for 7 into Whisperwood's good, but not as good as Hornet Queen into Atarka.
Yeah. So those creatures are going to die here, Manifest. 1 is Dragonlord Atarka, 2 is the Xenagos, 3 is the Death Mist Raptor. The reason you're going to see those cards, again, is because Courser of Crufix is in play, so they're just kind of shortcutting here. The top card of the deck is Pelucranos. Pelucranos can be very impressive in this sort of matchup, as you did mention, but with no Xenagos, no Nykthos out there, not all that exciting.
Charles' turn does have a free land on top.
Yeah, the Wooded Foothills there can provide some more red mana. Already has a Caryatid out there to produce a little bit of red.
Can Brad hit hard enough to come back in the game?
He's going to start with Wooded Foothills. Take a look at that top card. There's Nykthos, a little late to the party.
Well, if he has his own Nykthos and he gets a Pelucranos with it, there's a chance. That's the big game enders, when you monstrosity a Pelucranos and eat everything.
Yep.
Eat the world, as it were.
I don't know if he's got enough time for that.
No, I mean, there's a lot. Chris did make 14 power in the air last turn.
Yep. I mean, Brad can't even generate very much mana now. He doesn't have his Xenagos, he doesn't have a Nykthos, he doesn't have his mana accelerants anymore either, outside of the Caryatid.
No, and that's the big thing why these Atarkas and Pelucanoses are so important, is that the way to really win is you kill your opponent's mana creatures. We've actually sometimes, when Devotion was a bigger deck, we've seen cards like Setessan Tactics in people's sideboards to do just that. Now, neither player has that today, as this deck hasn't been as popular in the last few months.
Yeah. It's just a passing of the turn there for Nelson. VanMeter's going to draw Deathness Raptor. We know that from the Courser. Take a look at the top card now. It's a forest, so a freebie land. He'll take it, gain a life, go up to 21. We'll see the next card here. It's Rattleclaw Mystic. So we'll see what Chris wants to put together here. He's certainly going to take his time. Does have a Genesis Hydra that he can cast for a boatload of mana.
So he needs to make sure that this Pelucranos does not beat him. Brad's Devotion to green is 7. He'll make a Nykthos. On the board, Brad has at least 10 mana or 11 mana, so he can monstrosity Pelucranos for at least 5. It should take care of the Hornet Queen and all of the Hornets, if Brad wants it to. Perhaps more.
You know, the thing about that is just, well, I mean, that's perfectly fine. The Dragon Lord Atarka is the big issue here.
They don't really have kill spells for it outside of their own Hornet Queen's blocking. And even then, remember, Atarka does trample.
I think if I'm Chris in this position, I think the best place to start is just with attack in the air. With some amount of the creatures. I think he's safe to attack with all the flyers. It's been an attack for 8, 9, 10, 14.
Brad down to 8.
And then I kind of like a follow-up play of trying to hit another Dragon Lord Atarka with a large Genesis Hydra. That comes in, shoot Pelucranos. Game's probably over then.
I would agree. If he gets that Pelucranos off the board, it's real hard for Brad. So how much do you want the other Atarka? I mean, if he uses both the Nykthos and the Xenagos, he can make the Hydra for just a grossly large number. And I don't see a reason not to.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to play Genesis Hydra for as big as I can here and just try to hit another Dragon Lord Atarka. I'm going to start by playing Deathness Raptor.
That ups his green devotion to 12. So this Nykthos activation is for 12.
You can see all the counting here.
He was counting creatures, now he's counting devotion.
He mixed up Xenagos a little bit. Now Xenagos going to go up.
There are 11 creatures, so this, I believe, is 23.
Okay.
Let's tap another for 24, so I believe a Genesis Hydra for 22.
Okay. It's not bad.
About half his deck at this point.
That's not too bad. That'll give you a shot.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's 10. Goes to the second row. 10 more.
May have been a little much. May have been a little much. There we go.
6.
Yeah, I think you had it. I think you had it right at 22.
Yep, 22.
Chris just wanted his whole deck. I understand.
I mean, it feels like your whole deck. And Brad, they're going to make sure it's the right number.
Yep.
Remember that Rattleclaw's part of the equation.
Brad can do some counting here. I'm with you. I believe it is for 22 at this point. And now the Rattleclaw's part of the equation as well. Yep, 22 is that magic number. Just got confirmation from our judge down there. Here you go. Here's 22 cards.
I need them Atarka. Let's see.
Yep.
Yes, in fact, one is.
And he brought that one forward right away. There is Atarka. This one's going to die due to the legend rule. You'll get a trigger.
Like you said, it's pretty tempting to just kill Pelucranos.
I like just killing Pelucranos here. I mean, the mana kind of is what it is. I can certainly see what Chris is trying to do here, which is I'll kill your Manifest, which is Pelucranos. I'll kill your Manifest, which is Deathmist Raptor.
Oh, there's a Pelucranos is not under Manifest, is it? It's a Tarka.
Yeah, so yeah, he's gonna shoot Deathmist Raptor and a Tarka that are face down.
I guess a Tarka could be flipped up into a flying blocker.
Yeah, which would be annoying. So what Chris is basically saying here is do your worst with your Pelucranos. I don't think your worst is good enough.
Remember, Chris has a very large Genesis Hydra. This is a 22 Genesis Hydra.
Let's see if we have enough dice.
Oh, that's the shortcut.
Ah, yes, that's a good point.
That only works 60% of the time.
There's also a Dragonlord Tarka now on top of Chris's deck. Gonna make things even more difficult for Brad. Now what Brad is doing now is I think he's considering sacrificing his Wooded Foothills before he draws his Nykthos. But he might
decide if Nykthos is good enough. I mean, it's one of the best draws in his deck.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has a draw that's better. You might be right in that Nykthos is not good enough, but if it's not, I don't know what is.
Well, if anybody knows, it's the guy right there on the left side of the screen. He's going to sacrifice. He doesn't want Nykthos. He's going to get a land out of his deck. It'll be a forest. So it's time to see what Nelson finds on the top of his deck. Let's see that top card from the Courser. It's a Nykthos. All right.
Well then, was meant to be.
He'll draw that. Temple on top. Does have a copy of Hornet Queen in hand.
Has a lot of mana, but not... Man, a lot's a hard word. You just have to quantify it in this matchup.
Well, it's night and day between who has more mana here, between Nelson and VanMeter. Yep, and Brad's going to concede the game. So Chris VanMeter is going to win game number 1 here over Brad Nelson. The Green-Red Devotion Mirror so far is in favor of VanMeter.
I like this deck. I like these mirrors.
I like this deck so long as they get the metagame prediction right. You know, if I'm playing against Perilous Vault, I don't like this deck.
This is better than when they were having Mastery of the Unseens. Those mirrors were a little much.
They were not great. They were not. The Green-White Devotion Mirror, they were not great. We're going to talk about the sideboard here. Typically, we do one at a time, but they both have the same 15, so we can do it all at once of 2 Plummet, 1 Ugin the Spirit Dragon, 2 Arbor Colossus and Arc Lightning, 3 Nylea's Disciple, 2 Nissa World Waker, a Xenagos the Reveler, 2 Hornet Nest, and a Den Protector. What do you like and why?
Arc Lightning, because I want to kill my opponent's mana creatures. We saw just how relevant that was. Xenagos, he makes a lot of mana. He's pretty good here as well. Lastly, Ugin. I think there are situations where you want a board reset, and having Ugin would be great to do that. Outside of that, I don't know that I really want to play anything else.
Yeah, I think they're actually going to sideboard the same. I don't think the sideboarding process is going to take very long. So we'll have game 2 underway in just a moment here. But we're going to talk about both of these fantastic players. They are on the top 16 of our leaderboard. Brad Nelson is who we'll begin with as he's on the play. 29 years old, originally from North Dakota, but now he lives in the Roanoke area producing content for Star City Games. His resume is... Boy, it's really good with 2 Invitational top 8s and a win. 7 Open Series top 8s with a W, 2 Pro Tour top 8s, Pro Tour Amsterdam, and then Pro Tour San Juan, and then 12 GP top 8s with 1 win. We can't forget about him winning the Players' Championship last year as well.
And was the Magic the Gathering Player of the Year in 2010.
Yeah, that too. He has really made a name for himself in Magic. He loves playing, also loves StarCraft 2. One of the best games to watch ever, he says. We can't forget about Chris VanMeter too. This has really been his tournament, but this is really weird because it's kind of a story of 2 different players here in this match. Brad has had kind of a run where he's been under the radar. Now he's climbing up, looking to make top 8 again. Chris has been on top the entire way, but now kind of sliding down a little bit.
I mean, we've seen this. Brian Braun-Duin has struggled with this in previous invitationals. There's such long events that you can be the last undefeated player and still miss top 8. You have to, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely. Chris with his 17 Open Series top 8s, 4 wins. Most recent one in Syracuse with Green Red Dragons, former college football player. Loves chess, and of course the 2 successful Kickstarters for him. But he's looking for that first invitational top 8 to put on the career highlights, and he's getting close. He wins a game here against Brad of these next 2. Don't think he'll be able to draw in next round. It's a little bit unclear.
Maybe. Chris VanMeter is second in breakers of the X1s. So we'll have to see. I think I can pretty safe say, based on our standings last round, Brad's on 2 wins. Chris is on 1 win and a big question mark.
Yeah. And you know, for Chris, he wants to get back to the modern portion of this tournament.
Yeah, he's got a great deck. I mean, we looked at our standings from the modern part of this event. Amulet Bloom, he went 7-1 with it. Now, the undefeated player, Tariq Patel, also running Amulet Bloom to the 8-0 record, the only 8-0 in modern.
Yeah. Of all of our players, 665 who played modern today, we had one person go 8-0. It was Amulet Bloom in the hands of Tariq Patel. And also, we had 3 7-1s with Amulet Bloom as well. Yeah,
so he had a great showing at 7-1. Amulet Bloom did very well today. Now, to be fair, I still think the big showing here is from Grixis. Whether it's Grixis Control, Grixis Twin, or Grixis Delver, there was a ton of that in 7-1.
There are a ton of Grixis this weekend. I mean, that's really demonstrating the power of Snapcaster Mage, Kolaghan's Command, and Tassiger.
Yeah.
Those are the big cards in that. And as you mentioned, 3 different ways to go with Control, Delver, or Twin. Kyle Bogme's putting up a 7-1. He looks to be locked for top 8, so that'll be his weapon of choice in elimination rounds tomorrow. So long as he's able to double draw in, we'll see. Yeah, it's unclear if he'll be able to double draw in or not, but he's really, really close to being able to do so.
Yeah, 12-2 is a great spot to be with this at this point.
Yeah.
And Kyle Bogmus, that's a player, who really has been seeing a finalist in Pro Tour San Diego back in 2010. Yeah, it was with Jund. Michigan-based player. He actually has had a bit of a resurgence of his own. Top 25 to the most recent Pro Tour, looking to get back in the Pro Players Club. Maybe add a SCG Invitational top 8 to the resume. He's very quietly getting back on, putting up some quality results.
Well, he's just starting to play again, and it's good to see him because he is a great player, just like these two right here.
He's very stylized. You know, you talk about players some players who just play around everything all the time. Bogmus is certainly a player in that camp, and it's really exciting to watch him for that reason.
Nelson with some mad acceleration here in Elvish Mystic and Sylvan Caryatid. Forest and Temple of Abandon are the lands for Brad. VanMeter, he's got a Forest and Elvish Mystic. He'll play a Temple of Abandon as well, looking to mirror Brad here, I suppose. Got to keep up in this mirror match.
Yeah, get your own mana, kill your opponent's mana. Like I said, no Cetacean Tactics to kill your opponent's mana creatures with this time, but Arc Lightning will do the trick if both of them have boarded them in.
There's the Rattleclaw Mystic and a passing of the turn. Arc Lightning would be very nice right now if Brad did have it. Would set back VanMeter in a big way.
It's interesting because since they're both Devotion, these mid-range plays matter less and less, and it's all about the really high end. So when you look at your cards that are good but not great, so your cards like your Death Mist Raptors, to a point even your Whisperwood Elementals, they don't matter nearly as much as your Genesis Hydras, your Atarkas, and your Pelucranoses.
Top part of the deck is a Xenagos. We know that from the course that Nelson just played.
Does Brad want to keep it? I think he has another Temple in hand.
May have a Temple, may have a Wooded Foothills too. We'll see.
Both players would really like to have Nykthos. It's another big part of the equation. Brad's hand's looking pretty strong.
Elvish Mystic coming into the red zone.
Offers a trade with Chris. Don't think Chris can accept.
I think Chris is declining, There's a Rugged Highlands.
Okay, so that actually, I think he has that instead of the Temple.
And he's going to gain 2 life off of that, one from the courser, one from the trigger itself.
This is a matchup where that does not come into play.
There's Whisperwood Elemental. VanMeter has it on turn 3. A Manifest will join it.
And in so many matchups, you see these turn 3 Whisperwood Elementals as the best thing the deck can do. It's still really powerful, but this is the matchup where maybe that turn 3 Whisperwood does not get there.
There's an Arc Lightning on top of the deck for Nelson. So that could
good.
be the draw. That could be the draw next turn, depending on what Brad does here.
Now, the interesting is I think Chris has a pretty fair hand. It looks like his next play is just going to be another Whisperwood Elemental. Now, I said 1 early Whisperwood may not win it, but 2 and things become interesting. That's a lot of creatures.
Yeah, you can certainly build an advantage that way. Now Nelson going to roll up his sleeves and try to get to work here. Xenagos, very powerful card, as Chris demonstrated in the last game. And it looks like Nelson does have a copy of Genesis Hydra in hand. I suppose the question here, if you're Brad, is I could just Hydra for 3 and actually guarantee that I hit Arc Lightning. That's not horrible. I don't know if that's great either, though. Oh, excuse me, only permanents. I take it back.
Nonetheless, I think it'll be a great draw whenever Brad gets it. He's got a lot of acceleration. I believe he has a Xenagos and Nykthos in his hand. I don't know what his payoff is or if he has one. I mean, the Genesis Hydra I think is the payoff.
It's the payoff-ish right now. It's not for enough mana for it to be great, I don't think.
No, he'd like it to hit a Tarka, or perhaps a Pelucranos. Or Pelucranos can still just get enormous in these decks.
Oh, there's a Forest, trigger the Courser, gain a life. Here's 4 mana. There's Xenagos. It starts at 3. There's a Satyr token. And it's just going to pass the turn back.
Yeah, I think Brad is setting up for the big turn as next one.
Okay.
He makes a creature so that the Xenagos plus next turn is as big as possible. Make the Nykthos as big as possible. Go for the Genesis Hydra play.
Maybe the Arc Lightning will be involved as well. VanMeter has a Xenagos in his hand. Also another copy of Whisperwood, as you did mention earlier. There's also a Rattleclaw Mystic in hand. See just how much Chris can do here. He's doing the math, as you oftentimes have to do with Green Devotion. The Green Devotion oftentimes just feels like a big math problem.
It can, I mean, it definitely can be. When you add in, especially when you add in things like Mastery, or a lot of these, the numbers as to how much to Genesis Hydra for is certainly a probability problem.
Wooded Foothills is VanMeter's land for the turn. Take a look at the manifest creature.
He's just got to be concerned because of Brad's clearly has a big turn next coming up. And for Chris, like I said, you have these Whisperwoods, but they don't do that much. They only make 2/2s every turn and protect you from wraths.
Which somehow, not all that good.
Yeah, somehow that doesn't feel like enough.
Well, here we go.
All right. Manifest and Whisperwood swinging in. Wonder what's under the Manifest. There's certainly Brad. Well, Brad may want to try to kill it with the 2/4. That doesn't seem unreasonable.
I like not knowing. Makes it more fun.
I think Brad doesn't call on that. The damage doesn't matter on the Manifest. So, and I like this play from Brad. He's going to try to kill the Whisperwood with 2 creatures and block the Manifest.
Pretty good double block there, I think, from Brad. Take care of the Courser. Whisperwood's going to bite the dust. Turn his card face down. Chris going to sacrifice his Wooded Foothills. We're on 18, going to get a land out of the deck. I imagine a Forest, but we'll see.
So going through some of our 7-1 players from the event, talked about how Tariq Patel was the 8-0 player from the event. Other big names at 7-1, we've got Matt Costa with Grixis Control, Gerard Fabiano with the same deck, Kyle Bogmus with Grixis Twin, Josh Ravitz playing Jund. He's still live for the top 8, I believe.
Yep.
Logan Mize, Abzan Company, Chris VanMeter, Amulet Bloom. One of my favorite ones, JB Milo. He's our mono red player, I believe 16 from the Texas area, showing some diversity. Abzan Company, 7-1 in Modern.
Very nice. Very nice. You mentioned Josh Ravitz still being live. He's playing a Gerard Fabiano right now in our backup match, so if we have time to jump over there, we certainly will. Both those players 11-3 right now, just like VanMeter and Nelson. Whisperwood going to bring along a Manifest with it. We saw Xenagos join the battle as well. Now we're going to head back Nelson's way. We said he was setting up for a big turn, so we're going to see what it is.
Yep. The draw was Arc Lightning. Now it's so interesting. Arc Lightning is so good in the matchup, but its window of usefulness is really small. Boy, I really want this on turn 3, because both players playing the first 2 turns making mana creatures.
Yeah, if Brad had it on turn 3 to take care of both the Mystics, Elvish and Rattleclaw. Yeah, game over immediately. Now, it could be okay right now, but nowhere near as good as it would have been a couple turns ago.
Yeah, I think it's still good, outside of the fact that it can... it's so little mana at this point, because Brad has so much. He'll still get 2 real cards that get some green mana symbols, maybe kill a Xenagos. There's still a lot of utility to it. It's probably better than an average draw. But it's not a payoff card, and these games quickly get to the point where the only things that matter are your 7-drops.
See what Nelson comes up with this turn. He's going to start with Nykthos.
All right.
Xenagos going to go up.
So 4 mana from Xenagos.
Here's a Hydra.
Nykthos not making any extra mana, so this one's pretty easy.
It's going to be a big one.
So 10 mana total. 5 from lands. 3 from Xenagos, 5 from lands, 2 from the creatures.
You have to
Genesis
imagine.
Hydra for 8.
You have to imagine looking for a Tarka.
And you know, now that she's in these lists, it seems like they're always looking for Atarka. Now, Pelukrinos is not a bad consolation prize here. If Chris can't kill it, Brad can wipe his team with Pelukrinos. It's a big if, though.
It seems like that's the best of the bunch. I mean, the options right now seem like Pelukrinos or Whisperwood Elementals, so I don't think he's interested in anything else. I'm going to go with the World Eater.
And that's all his mana for the turn. So what Brad does, he gets an 8/8 and a 5/5. If he untaps, he has his Devotion to Green is now 7. He has a Xenagos, he has a Nykthos. The Pelukrinos will Monstrosity for some really huge number and kill most, if not all, of Chris's creatures.
Chris taking a look at his manifest creatures before he starts to untap.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Chris, you'd like to draw. If you can get an Atarka here to kill the Pelukrinos, that's the goal.
Time to draw a card.
He doesn't have a Hornet Queen, Rattleclaw, and Forest in Chris's hand.
I do wonder what those manifests are.
I'm concerned if I'm on Chris's side. This Pelukrinos that Brad found, it wasn't the Atarka, but I think it's going to kill all of Chris's things.
It could be better than the Atarka.
Yeah. Now, Chris has some insurance in Whisperwood Elemental, so that if Brad kills everything with Pelukrinos, Chris gets a bunch of manifests. Now, the question is, does that even matter?
Yeah.
I mean,
where are we going to start? We're going to start with a Morph. That's Rattleclaw Mystic. Though it could be anything. Gonna tick up.
A lot of mana.
There's the Queen. 4 insects will join.
May just have to pass.
I mean, it doesn't seem as though any good attacks are available here, so you'll get a manifest. If you're Brad, you're thrilled with how this went.
Yeah, so untap. Now, this is Brad. This is the biggest turn, big Pelukrinos turn for Brad. So he's untapping with a Devotion of 7 to green and 5 creatures in play. So already, yeah. So the Xenagos can make 5 mana. The Nykthos can make at least 7. So he has at least 16 mana this turn, just in play, presuming he does nothing but tap everything.
Brad is not thrilled by something right now. Okay. Apparently, Brad needs to use the restroom. So,
break during the match.
There will be a break during the match, which means you get to look at our smiling faces now. That was abrupt.
Well, Brad's kind of infamous for this in future matches.
Yeah.
I've talked to him about it. He actually finds, it's one of the ways when he gets really intense and stressed out, like in a high pressure situation, it's a distraction. So he's very sensitive to it when he's really trying to play good matches.
And he's a pretty high intense guy when he's playing at the table too.
If you have played him, he sits down at the table and everything changes.
Yeah, a lovable guy outside of the game. And not to say that he's mean when he's playing, but
boy, does he want to win.
Yeah, that's number one for him. He does want to win.
Yeah.
Right now, Chris VanMeter up a game in that match. It seems as though Brad is going to have his big turn here with Pelukrinos. No guarantee that he's going to win, but it seems like he's in a good spot.
At least 16 mana, if not more. So the Pelukrinos will be Monstrosity for at least 7. And remember, if he plays, there are ways to make this more. If he has an Elvish Mystic, this goes up because it adds mana to both halves. So he's going to get to kill at least 7 toughness worth of creatures on Chris's side. So can trade it with the Hornet Queen at the worst, but I bet he can do a lot better.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he can do better. He can destroy a lot of different stuff. Now, again, we do have our breakdown of Modern in front of us here about what did well, who did well.
So we mentioned Amulet Bloom. So Amulet Bloom and Grixis are probably your big ones that did well. We have all the 8-0 and 7-1 decks.
Yep.
Chris VanMeter, Tariq Patel, your Amulet Bloom pilots, but not exclusive. Chris Walton, 7-1 with it, and Kazu Negri. So 4 players with good performances with the deck. Grixis, we had Zach Witten, Ryan Overturf, Gerard Fabiano, Matt Costa, Kyle Bogamus, and Luis Alfonso all picking it up and going 7-1. Now, what I think that is a group of players that these are some veteran names we had playing Grixis.
Yes, they are. And, for Grixis, be it Twin, be it Control, be it Delver, as we mentioned, that was a deck that we thought was going to be really popular coming in. That's why we talked about it during the pregame show. And again, it is that combination of Snapcaster Mage, Kolaghan's Command, Lightning Bolt, Tasigur, Thought Scour being in the deck, maybe Thought Seize being in the deck. There are a lot of good cards across those 3 colors right now.
It doesn't surprise me to see some of our bigger names playing that deck, whereas opposed to Amulet Plume, we didn't have that. Amulet Plume is kind of a specialist sort of deck, whereas Grixis Delver is a thing if you have just a generically strong player that can do really well with it. Third one, and this is something, Obzon Company put a lot of copies here with good records. We had Logan Mize, JB Milo, and Kyle Shane all 7-1 with the deck. That has not been a major player in the format.
That was a deck coming into the tournament where everyone kind of knew about it because there have been a lot of people who write about Eclectic Company recently, be it the Elvish version that's been doing well in Magic Online or the Obzon version that Brian Braun-Duin has been working on primarily over the past couple of weeks, where it's basically the Birthing Pod deck, except the Birthing Pods are gone and the Eclectic Company is in. And the question was, how good is this deck actually? If you don't draw Eclectic Company and maybe you just draw the creatures, can this deck still function? The answer apparently is yes, with 3 players going 7-1 over the course of our 8 modern rounds.
Yeah. Other decks we saw at 7-1, a couple copies of Affinity. We saw a couple copies of Jund, Burn, Merfolk, all showing up at 7-1.
Affinity being 7-1, a huge surprise for me, given how much Grixis there was.
Multiple copies of it at 7-1.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is a surprise for me.
That deck's just good. I know that people... I don't think, since Modern has started, I don't think Affinity has fallen out of Tier 1.
Never.
At any point.
Never. There have been different versions of it, but it's never fallen out of Tier 1. To see 2 copies go 7-1, a little surprising.
You always think, they print another card, you're like, oh, well, that card's just so good against Affinity. I'm like, yeah, but
it's still
really good.
Back to the match we go. Brad is back. That means we're headed back. We'll see what he can put together on this turn.
All right, they did receive time extension for that one.
Nelson's got the pen and pad working now, so maybe doing a little bit of math on how much mana he can generate. Because he can generate a lot. He has Xenagos and Nykthos out there and some mana accelerants.
Right, so Nick, we've talked this before, Xenagos can make 5 on the current board. Nykthos can make 7 on the current board, that's 12. 2 lands can go to 14, 2 mana creatures can tap to 16.
Okay.
Now, like if he plays an Elvish Mystic, that will go to 17.
Actually be +1 mana there.
To be +1 to the Nykthos and to the Xenagos. Yep. Now, he may have another Nykthos in hand, which I think is why that would certainly get this to a situation where you have to do a fair amount of math.
So he's tapping 3 mana right now.
Yeah, he'd want to play all his green mana symbols first then.
Arc Lightning, 2 at Hornet Queen, 1 at a Rattleclaw Mystic.
And I like him sequencing this one first so that Chris cannot, he intentionally got the cards there and not any colorless creatures, so to put extra pressure on the Whisperwood Elemental activation.
Very smart. Xenagos looks to be going up. So he'll use that to generate some mana, now use that to generate mana through Nykthos.
So yeah, pluses for 5.
There's the other Nykthos.
Right. So the Xenagos makes 5 mana, then he puts 2 of it in Nykthos, goes down to 3, but he makes 7 green, he's at 10. Plays another Nykthos, goes down to 8, 7 more, goes up to 15. This land should tap to 16 and 17 with the Elvish Mystic. I believe this is X equals 8 on Polukranos. We will confirm that one.
Yep. Sometimes it is just one big math puzzle. Polukranos, fire away.
8 damage. Everybody's going to fight back at Polukranos. Polukranos rarely survives these situations. It looks like the 8 is the 4 insects and the Whisperwood.
Yep. And next is 8. That is confirmed. Not bad targets there. You take out the Whisperwood and the 4 insect tokens, then you can start attacking with that big Genesis Hydra. Now, one thing I know about Whisperwood Elemental, it's non-token creatures.
Face up, non-token. So that's why you saw, we talked before, why Brad Nelson Arc Lightninged 2 cards and then fought Whisperwood and all tokens. As he was trying, and he successfully made this ability not relevant.
Well, Genesis Hydra, maybe it's time for you to rumble on in.
He's pretty big.
Yeah.
He is, was an 8/8.
Hydra and Satyr token look pretty attractive to attack here.
Now we'll have to start to wonder just what is under those manifests for Chris.
That's the big question now.
One of them is, say, a Dragon Lord Atarka. Well, that's a problem for Brad, is it's an 8/8 flyer.
We know what the morph is. He's going to unmorph an Elvish Mystic from a manifest. The morph is Rattleclaw Mystic. The manifest creatures, that's a different story. VanMeter going to draw.
Nykthos. Depends. If he has a Pelucranos under one of those manifests, Nykthos is great. Otherwise, it's... You would prefer... I mean, it's so hard to say, because most of his cards are bad draws. He would prefer to have a threat. And now he's just making mana and racing toward a, I believe, the Xenagos Ultimate.
Yeah, which we don't ever see.
Yeah, and Chris has the advantage by 1. So exile the top 7 cards of your library and put any number of creature or lands from among them onto the battlefield. Great.
Atarka,
Instead of drawing 1 card a turn, how about 7?
Yeah, Atarka, are you in there somewhere?
You know, Atarka really has changed this mirror.
It has.
It's the big arc lightning.
Yeah, it's almost what it's all about now. Here comes the Hydra and the Satyr token.
Hornet Queens and Pelucranos still seem good. But yeah, so often we're just saying if they have Atarka, and then you finish the sentence.
Yeah, it's not like Hornet Queen or Pelucranos are bad. I mean, but we just saw Pelucranos take care of Hornet Queen.
Right.
And Whisper Elemental. So they kind of fight each other, and then nothing really beats Atarka, given that it is an 8/8 that comes in and kills some stuff, and then it's a flyer.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you play your Atarka first, then Hornet Queen beats Atarka.
Yes.
But there are many ways to deal. So many ways to deal with Hornet Queen. Not too many ways to deal with Atarka.
We're getting a little blocking here.
I would say at some point Deafness Raptors could come into play, though I doubt either player has them in their deck anymore.
I would be surprised if either player has them. There's Elvish Mystic past the turn back. Brad, I think, has to cross his fingers that Chris does not reveal very well from Xenagos. Chris's hand is 2 lands.
Play 1, plus, make mana. I mean, Brad's got the 8/8, so he has some advantage there.
Nah, cash it in. Let's see the top 7.
Here is the ultimate. What are the cards that Chris gets to play? Creatures and lands are good. Pelucranos, Whisperwood, Hydra, Pelucranos. Despite hitting a lot of creatures, he hit multiple legendary Pelucranoses and multiple Genesis Hydras. It's not... That's a lot of blanks.
Yeah, that's a weird one. It's not bad. It's probably better than we think. Oh, wow.
So you actually have to put them, it doesn't create a separate zone, so you have to put them all on the battlefield at the same time. If he could do them one at a time, say you could play them without paying their mana cost, he could play Pelucranos, activate it, and play another one. But because he has to put all the creatures onto the board basically as this batch, he gets to have 1 Pelucranos, and then he'll have to legend roll the other one.
Yep.
He can't use both abilities.
And he can't use Nykthos either.
No, you can't respond.
And so he's got to exile these.
Well, he could put them on the battlefield and let them die.
Yep.
So he can choose
option.
if they're exiled or in the yard. I think he wants yard for all of them. I mean, he still hit a Pelucranos and a Whisperwood, so that was good. Now he has to count how much he can monstrosity Pelucranos for. So Nykthos makes 5 green. He's just 6, 7, 8. 9 with the Mystic. So it's for X equals 4. And he needs to do something because, remember, Brad can ultimate back if he doesn't deal damage to the Xenagos.
Yep. See, Brad is focused in. He wants to make it out of this turn alive. What do we have here? 2 Rattleclaws, a little surge in mana.
Sure,
that's also green.
Right,
that's also green mana symbols for Nykthos.
Oh wow! All right, so that's 6 mana. He'll use 2 of it to activate Nykthos. So 4 is floating. Nykthos adds a newfound 7. So he has 11 mana floating right now. Pelucranos can activate for up to 5. And that will be 5.
Kill those.
Kill those, and now attack Xenagos. It's down to 1. Down to... Oh yeah, the carry added blocked one of them.
Yep.
All right, so down to 3.
There's your manifest past the turn. Nelson will draw.
Yeah, and Brad's not gonna... unless something changes, he's not gonna get to ultimate this Xenagos.
Yep, and Xenagos is going to be making not much happen. He's just going to play a replacement Xenagos. 2 Satyr tokens.
From each.
Yep. Pass the turn back.
He's got to defend the Xenagos, but... So he has Well, he doesn't actually have the biggest creature anymore.
No.
The Blue Granos is slightly bigger. The 9/9 is bigger than the 8/8. In this Clash of Titans.
Could double block it.
Yeah, and I think he will if Chris attacks.
Yeah.
But this thing where the Whispered Elemental of Chris's is going to find extra creatures is pretty extra threats for Chris is relevant.
Here comes Pelucranos. Let's see what else is going to come across.
You think
Uh-oh.
there's reasons for everything? You may see the Rattleclaws as well. But at the very least, it's Pelucranos. And yeah, now the Manifest, you wonder what is it that Chris is going to attack?
All right, it looks like everybody's going to come to the party now.
All right.
Maybe not Elvish Mystic. That one's a little small for this
That one
battle.
gets eaten by a Satyr. Right?
Yeah.
But the other guys, they're fine.
See how Nelson wants to block here. We're going to find out if they're going at Brad or at Xenagos here. Looks like a lot of... Yeah, looks like the Manifest is going to go to Xenagos. The rest is going to go to Brad.
We'll see what that Manifest was. Here's a Nykthos activation. There's a bunch of mana. That's Dragon Lord Atarka. And that's why only the Manifest when it's Xenagos is because when it's 8-power Trampler, that's all you need to kill it.
Yep. And he gets to get a creature, too, with it. Because on that turn, he could have just unmorphed it and attacked, but he gets to actually eat a carry at it, which is pretty nice.
We talked about Atarka. Even when you don't get the enter the battlefield trigger, she still cleans up.
Yep.
Just 8/8 flyer is a bunch of numbers.
Here's some mana for Nelson.
Rattleclaw Mystic, it looks like.
There's a morph. He'll pass the turn back.
There is one Den Protector in their lists. But Chris VanMeter. Team CVM, man. This is it.
Hey, you've been on it all weekend long.
Hey, you have to stay committed to it. You can't just rest. You know, 8-0 is great, but then when he's down, you got to stay on board.
Oh, you helped pick him up after those losses?
You don't want to be a fair weather fan.
That's true. Never have been, never will be. Don't you worry. Here's some mana. Might be through Nykthos. Gonna oh, wow. That's a Horny Queen. Doesn't bring anything along with it.
No, just flies.
Yeah, but flying is important here. And Chris is trying to figure out, can I get the last points of damage across? 2 flyers will put Brad down to 1. The rest of the ground creatures can be blocked. There's an Arbor Colossus.
Sure. Just in case Brad finds a flyer.
Yep. He's far ahead now.
There's 10 in the air. And Pelucranos.
And I think this is a good attack with Pelucranos. It's free. I mean, it's huge. It has to be double blocked, probably.
Or chumped.
Yeah.
Both are fine. It'll get a creature.
Yeah, there's your double block.
Brad will go to 1. Genesis Hydra will be trade with the World Eater.
Yep.
I like just the epic names of these giant creatures. The Genesis Hydra, the World Eater. Just gives a great feeling of this.
Dragon Lord Atarka.
Yeah.
It was surprising to see the token get taken care of, but that's going to do it either way. Chris VanMeter is going to win this match over Brad Nelson 2-0. The Green-Red Devotion Mirror goes to Team CVM, and he is 1 win away potentially from drawing into the top 8, or excuse me, from making the top 8. We don't think he's going to be able to draw.
It's possible. So he was in 8th place entering this round, 2nd highest breakers of the X3s. I mean, that figures he was doing so well. Start the tournament 9-0. We'll have to see. It's possible that Chris is just in. For Brad Nelson, though, we can say he is out. He will not be in the top 8 of this invitation.
He will not be an